Welcome to the meaty part of the curve, 30 minutes of fundamentals, tech, teaching, and talk. We're your hosts, Jeremy Bond and
Kendra Brown.
We'll be here weekly, hosting a webisode featuring special guests, surprises, and straight talk about the day's instructional challenges. The views and opinions expressed on the meaty part of the curve are exclusively the thoughts and opinions of the hosts and or their guests and do not necessarily reflect those of Central Michigan University. Once again, of course, we have no guests. We have a lovely audience.
We have our audience,
that
which is growing in numbers.
It appears to be growing.
I like that.
In fact, it's almost double the size from last year. I like that kind of growth. If we can maintain that, Kendra, we will have a full house in no time.
Float in, you know.
Well, and I don't want to necessarily put this on you, but I feel more keyed up than normal. We're off of a 2-day. Well, I've had a lot of caffeine too. My 44-ounce iced tea, I was going to bring it in here. It's gone. Nothing but ice left.
No wonder you're keen.
Oh, yeah, I feel good, I do. But we're coming off of a 2-day biennial global campus in-service where I learned a number of things, including the word biennial and what that means. But a lot of things that I think were good food for thought that are a nice springboard for our discussion today, which, of course, is focusing on professional development, personal development, faculty development, the shared theme, of course, development. Yeah.
We all need development.
Yeah, and bear in mind, too, just as in weeks past, the chat is open, your microphones will work, your cameras should work.
Jeremy, remember to turn them on.
We're not turning ours on. I'm having another bad hair day. It's the several thousand in a row now, in fact. But what are we going to dive into with this stuff, Kendra? What's on your mind?
When we first started planning back this summer, we got to talking about faculty development and why do we do what we do and so forth, or why we do it. So I thought, well, let's talk about it a little bit.
Oh, novel. Why do we do this stuff? Okay.
Now, let's be honest. We do this because we enjoy it.
Oh, I don't have more fun at any other point inside these walls during the week. And I have a lot of fun. Anybody who works with me knows I'm having a good time. But no, you're absolutely right. This is about some enjoyment.
Kind of give people an idea of where do we get our ideas at? Why do we get our ideas?
Which listservs are we on?
Yep.
Right? Organization.
Where can we help them find information when they need it at the moment, not just on Thursdays at 12:15 in the afternoon.
And we're talking about plugging into things that are CMU specific, right? And we've got some other things from our own personal, what are we going to call this, like our resource repertoire that we're going to share out.
Fancy.
R squared, the resource repertoire. Yeah, absolutely. So, but I think I want to dig a little bit more deeply and kick around the why some, and that's why I love this. You found this graphic from GHC, and I like it for a few different reasons. We've got an obvious view of teamwork here, that there's a lot of moving parts, but it occurred to me that the success itself is a moving target. I mean, I know what we've done in here one week doesn't seem to have quite the same impact in the next week. With my students, what's worked once doesn't always resonate with the very next semester's group. Gosh, with the same group from one class meeting to the next. And not just class meetings, but the things we do online. 1 week's discussion of the reading might be lively and interesting, and then next week you sign on with 15 zombies that don't even vaguely resemble the people you met with the week prior. So, I think that I always ask, for better or worse, what's in it for me? And it's this hope of achieving success, right? And to tie it back to in-service that we just came out of, you latched on to something that I think is worth sharing.
There was a lot of things I latched on to, but the two things that I latched on to the most, I sat in a session yesterday on service excellence, and the comment was made by the presenter by the name of Terry Yanovich. self-employed now, but used to work for Disney Institute and a couple of other
cool.
places. And
I heard about this session. I didn't make it, so I'm glad you did.
But the one point she said that hit home with me is the student experience is the new competitive battleground. We always talk about competition.
We do.
Right? We talk about this competitor, that competitor, and so forth. But what it comes down to for students, it's their experience. So if their experience is good with CMU and our students are telling their friends and their friends are telling their friends, that's where we're gaining.
That they've had marvelous experiences, good faculty, applicable learning, things that they put to use right away to their benefit, advance their position back at work, in another class, at home. Interesting.
So every time we can impact that experience for them, it's going to benefit them and us. So what's in it for us?
Sure. Right. Let's not lose sight of what's in it for me.
For me.
Well, no, go ahead.
But then here was the other thing that I took away. The comment was made: student success impacts your success. Meaning faculty.
Sure.
But also your success impacts student success.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I got so excited about the first thing you latched onto, I almost stomped on the second thing, but those are good.
Yeah.
So that's great. A 2-day in-service, and you took away 2 little things. Yeah, nice.
Just like that.
Yeah, you doubled your record. No, I'll tell you, it was the best in-service for me ever. And they're all good, but this one was really spectacular. And those 2 points, I want to spend some time with the first one, this notion of student experience is the competitive battleground. I think about the kinds of things that I think we have to accept or embrace about a post-traditional environment where our students are not residential students. We're teaching them online. They're coming onto a site for an evening, for a day, once a week, what have you. The things that were used as competitive advantages for the older student experience, you know, I'm thinking of the things that recruited my brother to where he attended as an undergrad, and my sister-in-law, both of whom are younger than I am. It was, what sort of amenities do you have in the dormitories? Is there a fitness center? Is there Wi-Fi in the rooms? Can I have my own bedroom? And I think tying it closer to teaching and learning, there was an era where all the institutions were in a race to mediate all their classrooms. Did we have internet access from the room, projectors, computers? And obviously, that level of facilities is still important for on-ground learning. But the competitive battlefield in this non-traditional space really gets down to how are we connecting students with their faculty and faculty with the students. What is the experience? How does it feel? So it does feel like, I don't think that success is our target in this visual has moved further away.
No.
But it's spun off to the side a little bit. Where we were
circles.
Where we were building toward one with this kind of thinking. Now we're building towards something else with thinking that has to change or introduce some extra considerations.
But to tie it back to why we're here today.
Oh, I guess that's a good idea.
There is a purpose for us being here. But we wanted to give everybody, like I said, some of the tips and information, ideas of how they can continue to grow. So in a faculty member's growth or our growth as employees, how that impacts every day, impacts the student, impacts ourselves first off, because we gain something.
Absolutely.
But then that impact that it has on the students. So that's where we're going. That's kind of a long intro.
Well, what I'm hearing too is that development isn't just I signed up for a workshop, although it certainly can be. I attended a conference, but it could be. It might be an email. It might be an interaction, witnessing what someone else is doing in a class, a tool that they've used in a different way.
With a colleague on their experience. I'm going to throw a little shout out to our faculty partners at do this all the time with new faculty as they come on. That's all development. That's all gaining something for ourselves to go further.
So do you want me to switch to our list, sure. The little collection of ideas that we came up with? And it is a short list, but I think it's meant to do two things: offer some concrete examples, some things that people may want to go and check out, and we'll make sure that this list of links ends up sitting with the audio archive for today's program too. So no need to scratch anything down. But the second thing I think it's meant to do is to get people thinking about, I've not actually considered making time to do this, or to look at those, or to go out and join that as part of the development.
As we were preparing,
that was before the iced tea. I don't remember.
You were referring, and I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, to the online learning update.
Oh yeah.
You had about it, but I hadn't.
Yeah, you were not subscribed.
I wasn't subscribed. So I mean, it's just those simple conversations that come out that you pick up on something, and I went right out and subscribed, and now I'm even reading it, not this very moment, but just before I walked in here.
To be a little bit philosophical for a quick minute, development is a journey, right? But it's occurring along a spectrum of very formal varieties of development to informal, very even casual development opportunities. But I want to take a second and talk specifically about the online learning update. That daily digest, I get an email every morning, and I know for some you're thinking, oh great, an extra email every single day. It always has the same subject line, so it would be very easy to filter into a folder for that once a week, once a month time when you carve out resources to look at that sort of thing. But what they're actually doing on that site is curating from various news sources, press release gatherers and so forth, for certain key terms. So don't be misled by online learning update. Many times it's pulling in things that are much more related to classroom technology. Stuff about MOOCs, massive open online courses, gets pulled in. Lots of interesting stuff. Yep, absolutely. Campus technology piece was in there today. It just depends on what gets flagged by their processes, but it's rarely more than, say, 3 or 4, maybe 5 links a day. And I'm usually finding my own anecdotal experience every day on average. I would say my average click is out to about 1 of those, and the others don't necessarily resonate with me, but I throw them in a folder. And many times I've been able to refer back when something does become important. And since I tossed it on there, what do you think about me skipping down to organizations?
Sure.
ASCD, if anybody here who's heard of it, it's more K-12. It really is. And I've been in some meetings recently where I've heard people refer to higher education as the majors and K-12 as the minors. Which is a metaphor I can't get behind that. I don't see it that way. And even the person who said it in the meeting sort of said, no, I don't mean it like that. I just mean there's differences, key differences. Not that one is superior than the other. But we did get into a discussion because it came out a certain way. And I pointed out that certain innovations we have in higher ed right now, like flipped classroom, like what we call adaptive learning, really is built on differentiated instruction, both of which are out of K-12 chiefly. We sort of, in higher ed, snatch those from there and have used them in our own way, certainly refined and further innovated. But I wouldn't shy away from an organization or a resource just because it's maybe for K-12 educators versus college educators. And that's why I like ASCD as an example. They send me a book every month.
Ooh.
Sometimes I read those books.
That's why your bookshelves are so full, aren't they?
I was able to use one as a reference just this past week. It's a nice book about, the main title is The Engaged Brain. Certainly another sort of casual, informal, I think I'll take a look at this, development opportunity. What do you want to highlight on here, Kendra? Because you're responsible here at Global for a lot of what we're doing and sharing.
Yeah, I like what you're saying about the informal to the most formal.
Oh, sure.
And I think that's where I was going when I built this slide, but my brain wasn't wrapped around it yet. So thank you for
I got you all the way there.
Yes.
I'm glad to do it.
One of the things that I subscribe to is Inside Higher Ed. It's a weekly newsletter that comes out. And again, I think much like the online learning update, they're pulling sources from various areas. But the one thing I like about Inside Higher Ed is it runs the gamut of topics. You know, there's an area on admissions, technology, community colleges, diversity, teaching and learning, which is kind of why we're here. But there's a lot of possibilities. So subscribing to that, again, you can pull out, it comes out once a week, every Friday, pull out what you want to take from there. And again, I kind of like you, scan it, look for important information or things I want to do with it. But what I tend to do from there is try to highlight some of those pieces that I want to share along through either my biweekly email or the monthly faculty news and notes.
So you're doing
Wink Wink came out yesterday.
Doing it, I saw it. In fact, I got two. I think I get the one sent to faculty and the one sent to the staff. Yeah. But so you're curating for people. You're doing a little bit of advanced distilling to figure out what resonated most and passing it along.
But I like to take some of that stuff, like I said, either feature it in faculty news and notes. And faculty news and notes, I'll be honest, is a lot more internal stuff. So anything that comes across my desk, you know, announcements from the university and so forth, I try to embed in there so that, you know, we're getting that information out to faculty. But I also, with particularly Inside Higher Ed, when something catches my eye, now that we have the new global campus faculty resources, like that little plug there, those types of things that I can pull from there to throw into the resource pile. So, you know, always looking for those opportunities to provide further information.
Nice. I put out in the text chat, although people are welcome to speak up too, just wondering, Marlene's first example there of which organizations, lists, sites are you interacting with? And Marlene's offered up the American Marketing Association and 3 additional marketing groups, but especially to keep abreast of new social media opportunities. You know, and that's something we kicked around. For a reason why we do this is the other thing that's changing, or as success moves side to side or turns or what have you, you've got to keep up with the technology to an extent, so that we're using, not so that we're cutting edge, not so that we're using the right whistle or the newest bell, but so that we don't miss out on a tool or set of tools that may let us do something better than we've been doing it, or in an entirely new, more effective way. That to me is the quest for the newness. It's not that wearing or doing or owning the newest technology is the badge of honor. It's what have you done with it lately.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the difference between maybe knowing about something and developing in a particular area. Dennis pointed out SHRM. That's something I've heard a lot about right here in Global Campus lately. There's a chapter, Jack, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Go ahead, Kendra.
I want to jump on what they're saying here. The SHRM, Academy of Nutrition and Sciences, the marketing associations. I love that people are sharing this, because not only do we want you to be developed in teaching and learning, but being developed in your content area.
Their discipline. Right on.
Because that's just as important. But I think sometimes, you know, we get so caught up in either we get caught in one or the other. We don't always cross. Well,
and what makes the people with us today and so many others wonderful at what they do is that they really are succeeding in both areas. They're highly active in their disciplines and highly effective as educators because they've developed in both areas and therefore can translate key things, new things, complex things from the former into the latter. Yeah, no doubt about it.
We just hope we're helping provide those development areas on the teaching and learning / education side. And we really appreciate that they're here joining us as we try to throw something out at them.
And it makes me think what we need for the meaty part of the curve here is a Twitter handle. And Kendra's
really bad at
Kendra's
that.
giving me that look, but I'm not going to let it go. I'm going to think about this. And Marlene, I'm going to cite you that we need to stay with social media. Speaking of social media, friends of mine, 2 of them, do what they call Friday Love. And every Friday, that's their status update on social media, is a short list of things they love. And that's what I was hoping to get out of everyone today. The things that we really do like and we know that we're benefiting from, professorjournal.com. Looks like we've got a sign up for that. It's a part of the Wall Street Journal. Interesting. I do see stuff come out of the Wall Street Journal every now and then. That's a really good fit in this area. A couple people are still typing. See, what I like too is that there's no shortage of resources. If anything, there's almost too much, and it becomes this process of what am I going to look at.
Right.
But we've got a couple other specifics we were going to make sure people are visiting routinely, right? And like the Center CETL's events
the
website.
For Excellence in Teaching. I'm getting it.
And Learning at CMU. I saw the slide too, and it won't be in the audio recording, so you're fine. It is the Center for Excellence in Teaching at CMU, but also Learning.
Yeah, that learning.
But the website for events, at least, is still currently facetevents.cmich.edu. So I did try to see if CETL Events is live yet just the other day, and it is not. So don't change your bookmarks yet, and keep looking there for. But that's closer to the more formal end,
right.
Scheduled workshop type development opportunities.
But also conferences, and I'm just going to throw conferences out there, partly because Stephanie and I are going next week.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to UPSIA, which is University Professionals in College something or other, I'm going to think it. Anyway, we're presenting next week, and it's more on the administrative side, which is very relevant to what we do. But it's also important for us to be developed, just as we're trying to develop faculty. But looking out there at the different conferences that are available in teaching and learning, and I'm going to put a plug in for the Great Lakes Conference on Teaching and Learning, which will be in May of 2016 again, here on CMU's campus. And there's always opportunities out there. There's other conferences that go on throughout the year in teaching and learning. There's all kinds of possibilities. But yeah, it's finding the right fit for you.
Well, I'm over here counting on my fingers because May is only 7 months out. Today is October. Can you believe that?
Ouch.
Right? So even though we're headed into autumn and then no doubt a long, cold winter, thinking about May is really uplifting. Yeah, I like one more concept that I think is developed in the text discussion. That's one of the best translations of our own development on into the classroom, is helping students plug into good resources, making it part of their daily, weekly, what have you, making it part of their lives, their own growth as learners and professionals unto themselves. Marlene mentioned carving out a certain amount of time. Dennis is talking about subscribing to resources and making those a part of the curriculum of courses and the way that we teach. We are starting to run short on time already.
I just want to recognize everybody that's been here, and I love how the chat panel is just blowing up today. So I think we hit on a good topic. Well, I'm going to take that as a positive that we hit on a good topic for a change.
Well, and I'm going to save the text of the chat today before I sign out, so that if nothing else, we can distill the full list, everything that people suggested, not just the resources themselves, but the ways they're using them and interacting. Right? So that we can have that as part of as a complement, a supplement to the recording link. But I want to, and we don't have to conclude early, but I want to make sure I get to talk about next week, too. Because
You'll be on your own.
I will be on my own. I'm scrambling. I've emailed out, and I'm attempting to recruit a guest co-host, because I can't imagine a world where someone would want to listen to me all alone for 30 minutes. And don't say that you would. I see people starting to type, I would. That's very sweet. But next week, we're going to focus on a topic that is probably as near and dear to me as development is to Kendra. And I'm trying to get a co-host from the university's help desk to join me. We're going to talk about technical support, the other side of the house, I guess you could call it. I'm going to try not to be whiny, but I think a lot of times the discussions I have with faculty seeking support start out with, I know I should have called the help desk, or I would have called the help desk, or I did call the help desk, but, and then we go from there, and it's not that I don't love, Kendra, you know this, I love having the answer. Nothing makes me happier. I love helping people. It's where I draw a lot of my value from, is being of use, and personal rewards that I feel come from that. But we're a big organization too. Lots of people teaching, lots of students studying, and so it makes certain kinds of relationships, like the one we enjoy with the help desk, very critical.
They are. I can't speak highly. I speak very highly of them every chance I get.
But it's almost not enough, no matter how much it is.
You encourage people.
We have a marvelous help desk, and to that end, I want to bring them on so we can highlight that. But I want to talk about the right ways to seek their support, the way that you can engage in the process so that you don't feel as though the way I get my best answer is to call John, Sue, Jeremy. Even though eventually I will talk with many of you still, thank goodness, because if it went away completely, sad face. That's what we would be looking at here.
Jeremy wouldn't know what to do with himself.
No, because again, I do like having the answers, and there are issues that all of us have had where the help desk, the text, it's a shrug, a verbalized shrug. Gee, we've not seen that before. Although I do work with users who seem to take that as a point of pride. Well, I ran this by them, and they said, huh, that's interesting. Never seen that one before. So on those last couple minutes that we have left, I wanted to make sure I put that out there. I'm hoping that you can all join us again next week. Kendra will she'll be at a conference. She doesn't even know what the letters stand for, but it should still be a very good, productive time.
Sorry.
You should have just cut your losses at Upsia, I think, and left it there.
I was trying to sound smart.
But I like this Brian Herbert quote. Kendra, I think it's a nice note to go out on. We have to all keep choosing to learn.
Absolutely.
No question about it. And that's what will make the difference, short term, long term. It's what keeps us in possession of a competitive edge in the new competitive battleground of student experience, where we're not going to get them to our virtual campus or our hybrid courses or our compressed courses with things like air-conditioned dorm rooms or on-site snackaterias and what have you. It really is about their experience from end to end. So there's no better note, I think, to go out on today than that. Except I wanted to make sure we took a moment to draw attention to the fact that you now have posted the recordings, the podcast of the first two episodes of the Meaty part of the curve.
Repository
and that's in Blackboard, and so if you do not have access to that, that's a self-enroll site.
Check Faculty News and Notes.
Check Faculty News and Notes. You can get in there and get your hands on the recordings if you were not with us the first couple of weeks, or if you would like to confirm that, yes, we really did say that in an earlier episode, feel free to check that out. Meanwhile, I'm hoping to still, now they know you won't be here next week, so we'll find out just how many people are signing on just to hear your lovely voice versus this monotone mess that God gave me. But on that note, it's 12:45, and I think the key thing to remember is that we should all just keep calm and aim for the meaty part of the curve.